art and design can be one of the greatest skills to learn. Instead of getting hand cramps for hours, what if you could get direct feedback almost immediately? With every adjustment that would have taken hours taking mere moments now. This process of iterating is wildly addictive and is one of the best feelings about AI art, with one fundamental issue: the wild inconsistency and lack of control. Often feeling like you can only guide it generally in the right direction with a few words. And heaven help you if you can actually hit the mark and hit what you're exactly trying to think of. Compromises is the name of the game. Not to mention the endless cost of tokens, annoying constraints, and the fact that you often have to juggle like 5 programs just to get to the end result you want, comfy UI, into Photoshop, into a gambit of other things. It's no wonder why AI art for so many is just something they did one time, one night, and thought, wow, and then never touched again. But what if you could hit the mark? Not only bring the image in your mind to life, but make it look even better than you could ever have imagined. What if you only needed one piece of software that easily integrated within itself? And what if you could tap into the mass collective of overly passionate people dedicated to increasing your precision, as well as showing you a whole world of possibilities? All for the very, very expensive price tag of $0. Now I know, it sounds a little too good to be true, but after months of being thrown down the AI art rabbit hole, getting passed around to Stable Diffusion, to Comfy UI, and all these buzzwords that I'm sure you might have heard about, I've come to find this one program that does it all and integrates perfectly with all that it does. And to me, is the absolute downright best solution by far, mainly because it's the best at solving the control problem, and honestly gets you almost pinpoint precision on what you're actually wanting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Krita AI. Funny thing is, this is just a plugin for an already amazing open source Photoshop-like painter program. A little bit of a mouthful. The Krita AI plugin is essentially running Comfy UI, an amazing AI rendering program that can be ran locally on your PC, so you're not having to buy tokens. But if you have even a halfway decent graphics card, you're good. And if you have a really bad graphics card, you still probably will be able to leverage some of this, although there may be better routes. More on that on the install video, likely coming after this one. But like I said, the true power of this software is its limitless accuracy and precision. That was the one thing I kept bashing my head against the wall when trying to do any AI art, is you lose out on so much consistency, and by trying to fix one little node, you sometimes change so much about the overall composition of the image. And if you do want to specialize, it takes so much tweaking and adjusting and highlighting when it all doesn't integrate easily within itself. But what if you were a Photoshop program and you had all those tools that were optimized perfectly for those types of adjustments? Yeah, great. In comes Krita. Honestly, this is just an amazing piece of software in general. The fact that it's open source means that you can really get into the weeds if you want, but you don't have to by any means. You can simply hit go, install, and be off to the races. And it functions perfectly as the set up and forget kind of model, with a small amount of upfront cost or work being done at the very beginning, only to then be able to access endless utility at the click of a button. And don't get me wrong, there are some limitations for sure, but none of them ever feel debilitating, where using other AI softwares it does. Feels like you're always having to take a massive loss to just get a slight tweak. And if you just want to create something downright gorgeous really effortlessly, or tweak something in Photoshop, or the literal hundreds of applications that this could do, everything from business, marketing, web design, art design, and the list endlessly goes on and on. Things where precision and professionalism stand out in a big way. And honestly, if only there was a specific model and engine that was perfectly targeted toward your exact community, market, or outcome that you were desiring. Wouldn't that be great? Well, like I mentioned, this is open source, baby, and oh my god, this is the thing that separates people getting an okay outcome to an image that is almost impossible to tell it's AI, and the quality level is through the roof. Not to mention better than the image in your mind and all that stuff. Oftentimes a lot better than the image in your mind. Everything from specialized models that focus on styles that perfectly hit the mark of what you're going for, or characters from pop culture that you might want to take inspiration from and draw upon, to even more crazily specific things like sweat or rain. We'll call it rain. In fact, I think understanding how to leverage this open source community is the very thing that separates you from being an enthusiast to kind of coming across as a downright professional. But there is one critical issue: the sheer volume of what there is out there to sift through, and how all of these puzzle pieces interconnect and it can be overwhelming to some to say the least. But I promise you, it's not all that complicated. Funnily enough, getting into AI art 4 months back, I seen countless software and learned a bunch and even embarked on learning the complexities of Comfy UI and understood it. But after learning a ton about Comfy UI, I found this thing called Krita AI. I went to look up guides and any sort of research on it, but when I found it, all I could really find was a few shorts about people showing what kind of things it can do, and it blew me away. And I couldn't find that many tutorials for it, specifically tutorials to tell you how to use it in the best possible ways possible. So in my infinite insanity, I thought I might give it a shot. I may not be the best. I'm just a little old Canadian literally in the middle of nowhere, but I want to see if I can pull you through this whole weird AI journey. So my plan with all this is to create kind of a hub where all the resources, guides, and information I want to try to create for you guys can kind of consolidate and go. So I've started something called a school community. If you don't know what it is, it's essentially just kind of like a community hub. Think of like a Facebook page, I guess, but less complicated and don't need to have a meta account, all that stuff. But it's simply a place where I can just put resources, guides, maybe even questions, and post some fun things, do community challenges and things like that. And the main thing is also be able to answer specialized questions. If you have to jump through one hoop, I feel like the question is probably worth answering. And offer things that are kind of helpful and hopefully eventually offer things that are more specialized kinds of help. But more on that later. Just know that if you have a question, be sure to ask it there. It'll always be the top link in the description down below and the pinned comment. But we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves. In order to get you cooking, we're going to need to get you in the race to begin with. So the next time we'll effortlessly be installing Krita in under 8 minutes. 8 minutes for endless access to an amazing editor and infinite AI art. It's worth it. Yeah.